right, welcome everyone to our VillageCo update. We're going to get started in just a minute. My name is Jason. We're going to get right into our program. So I'm going to kick it off by introducing Christine Callo. Christine is, many of you might have met her before or seen her name because she's been with the Village for many years. She is our general circle leader and our Village Affairs officer. So Christine, I'll turn it over to you to get us started.
Great. Thank you, Jason, and welcome program to cover in the next hour. And as Jason mentioned, I've been with VillageCo for a while. I'm also part of Village Seattle, and so I consider myself a Village elder. I'm with Jason here. So today we'll be covering several things. So a quick overview. We'll be unveiling our new vision and mission statements. And then we'll talk a little bit about Sociocracy, and that's a governance system that we use at VillageCo, and also about the volunteers and vacancies that are open to anybody that want to be involved with VillageCo. Then we'll talk about our toolkit, get an update on the design and development going on with that from the communication circle. And then we're going to talk about village building. As you know, we have a Village Builders training program coming up, launching in the fall. And so we'll talk about the campaign and the cohort. And finally, we'll end with 3 ways that you can help as supporters. So that's in a nutshell what we'll be going over in the next hour. And so moving on to the first section, our vision. And we coming up with our vision was a 3-month process. It all started with first identifying that we needed a new set of statements, since there were some, we wanted people to get on the same page when we talked about VillageCo. And so it was a 3-month process. We involved many members in the community. 50-some people responded to our surveys and our focus groups. We had a task group of 5 people, had a dozen meetings. And so there's a lot of sculpting into our vision statement. And so our vision statement currently is, drumroll, a locally connected world. We wanted something that was simple and that felt resonant. So with a locally connected world, there are 3 meaningful ways that you could see this. For example, local, of course, would meaning where you live, the area that you inhabit, your neighborhood, perhaps your workplace or your school, anything that's nearby you. And then we also think of local as being local to the moment. So in our world today, we're always caught up in social networks and having multiple ways of having asynchronous interactions. And here at Village, we really want to be mindful and be in the present moment, so local to the moment. And finally, we consider local as being local to ourselves, meaning that we get to know each other, being local to what's going on, the conversations and the dialogue, which really, when you come to a village gathering, it's really about that. So local physically, local to the moment, and then local to ourselves. And so I guess we could, so how does everyone feel? Who wants to see more of a locally connected world? Yeah. Do some, I don't know, jazz fingers. Yay. Right, so now I'm going to pass it off to Michael James, who is our mission circle leader, and he'll introduce yourself and talk a little bit about Sociocracy.
Thanks. Yeah, so Sociocracy is kind of the governance system that we use at VillageCo. So a few years ago, we kind of decided to transition away from just kind of having a board that controls an executive director who tells everyone what to do. But so now our focus is kind of creating an environment where we kind of govern ourselves, where we kind of rule by people that we associate with. So that just kind of gives you a little bit of a background. You might be seeing a lot of the things we're doing today, like our cohort and our toolkit, but we just want to take kind of a moment to talk about kind of like the operating system that allows that all to work. So right now I'm a leader of the mission circle, and we're kind of responsible for the like long-term vision of the organization, and then how that can be implemented across our different groups. And so as part of that, we try to make sure everyone understands what sociocracy is, and we kind of evaluate how it's doing. So I think if we go to the next slide, we can kind of see a evaluation that Christine put together earlier in the year when we were at like our 1-year anniversary of Sociocracy at VillageCo. We kind of wanted to understand from everyone in the organization, what their experience was with it, as well as maybe how we were doing across some of these fundamental principles that you see. So kind of on the one side, you see we got feedback from people like who've been in with VillageCo for different amounts of time. Some people just a couple months, some people from the beginning. And you can kind of see at the bottom that of the people that responded at the 1-year anniversary, there was a lot of satisfaction that we got, people that are extremely satisfied or very satisfied. So we kind of see sociocracy as something that people are like bought into and, feel like is working for them. I think if you kind of see these different principles that are kind of like the ways that sociocracy is trying to influence the organization, you can see from June 2023 to April 2024 that there were changes in how well people thought these principles were showing up in our work at VillageCo. Some of the ones I wanted to point out, effectiveness. So that's kind of like sociocracy is meant to help us collaborate together and make decisions in a more effective way. More effective meetings. So you can see there was a jump there from 3.1 to 3.8. Equivalent, so like everyone kind of being treated equally, like one person's voice not being more important than another's. That increased from 3.3 to 4.4. And then lastly, when you think about like continuous improvement and empiricism, we try to get like feedback about how our decisions work and then make them better. And so we kind of also see some bumps there. So kind of moving forward, thinking about sociocracy, we're kind of working to help make sure everyone understands how to use it more, and kind of like finding ways to keep our processes smooth. So with that in mind, that's kind of like an overview of how sociocracy is doing from like a bird's eye view. So I'm going to hand it off to Kevin, who has been with VillageCo from the beginning and has experience across many of our circles, and he's going to kind of describe like how our team functions here at VillageCo.
Hi, I'm Kevin Triplet. I'm a member of Village Nomad, which makes sense because I'm nomadic. I'm currently in Maine on my way to New Brunswick. And I joined Village after meeting Jason Sears and hearing about what he was trying to accomplish. And so I'm part of another community that uses sociocracy. So it was a very easy fit for me to come in. And what I do is just a moment. And also I fill in as facilitator or filling gaps whenever needed. And I'm also in mission circle and comm circle and platform circle. So general circle kind of coordinates decisions that affect the entire organization. Members from the mission circle and comm circle and platform circle all have representatives that meet in the general circle meetings. And then we have leaders that go back from the general circle to each one of these circles in order to be able to strengthen the communication so it flows both ways, both into the general circle and then back out to the other circles. It's a great way to do distributed authority. There's 4 types of volunteers. There's contributors, there's members, leaders, and connectors. So what do each one of those do? Well, contributors are kind of temporary. They'll come in and they'll contribute in perhaps a domain expertise. Members actually meet every meeting cycle, and leaders make sure that tasks are being done and goals are being hit. And connectors, they kind of they're our glue. They glue people together, and they're really excellent support. So let's see, and then each one of those numbers tells you how many volunteers we have in each one of those categories. And currently we have 5 recruits, which yay, we love recruits. Now, what's the circle, and what's the team, and what's the task? So in sociocracy, they're called circles because that emphasizes the distributed authority. We all sit in a circle. There's nobody that's above another. It's not hierarchical. Even though we have leaders, but those leaders just keep track to make sure that people get what they need in order to do their work. Teams go off and do something like project related, like there's a Village Cohort team. And then the task force could be something like tuning a proposal that's going to be presented at a future meeting, or it could even be a little longer task, such as coming up with how are we going to measure the success of village builders as they go through the program. So what I'd like to do now is turn over to Christine Francis. She's in Australia. She's an Aussie. And she's a member circle delegate, a general circle member. She's on several task forces with me, vision and mission to define her vision and mission, which is going to be unveiled today. Ooh. And she was also on cohort evaluation. So Christine is going to talk more about volunteer opportunities.
Thanks, Kevin. Yeah, hi, everyone. I'm Christine Francis. I'm located in Brisbane, Australia. So beaming in, it's Thursday morning here. Yeah, so I'm involved with leading volunteer management efforts. We're really trying to bring a comprehensive ethos and protocol to how we organize internally through Sociocracy, and also enhance the experience for every volunteer so that people feel like they're moving along on their own path and able to maybe gain skills for their career, maybe make those key golden connections that can come up and help expand our circles and just keep growing personally as well. So we have quite a few opportunities available at this time, and we have on the screen here, we've got members, contributors, and connectors. So we would love to have people coming in on all of those levels. You can start as a contributor or a connector, depending on what your availability is and what your interest level is and what you can do. Connectors just help us to keep growing and expanding through all the networks that you guys are connected with. So you might have local groups or virtual circles that you're a part of, or even business-oriented connections that might help Village, and that's great. You can get in touch with us at hello@villageco.org. Then we have contributors who might want to work on the task forces, or just coming in to help out with like making a video or some other specific thing that we need done. And we also have some availability for members who are interested in the sociocracy piece. So that's where you would be attending a monthly meeting, participating in the sociocratic process at the circles, and learning more about that. And also potentially taking on more leadership roles over time in Village. So that's a great way to step along that path if you're interested. And actually, while I'm here, I'll just pop the link in the chat to our current availability, like what we have for people who are interested to check out our needs and what we're doing. And also here on our website is a link that you can click through and check that out too if you want to come back at another time. You can also schedule an interview with Jason or another member of the team while he's away on holidays on his backpacking trip. So we are available to chat, yeah. And if you're curious, let us know. And yeah, so being a volunteer at VillageCo is something that we are working on establishing, like, what is our culture here? Like, how can we support each other? How can we get the work done in a fun way and also make sure it's like professionally rewarding for people? And then we also want to have fun together. So we've got a couple of things set up where you can connect with other volunteers and share like more informal space and have fun together. We have game nights, which there's been a few of those recently, and they're pretty very relaxed space. We're all just playing and sort of unwinding outside of work together. And then we also have Village Nomad, which is a special space Kevin mentioned, where you can come and practice the village model. So the gathering model that Village has at the core of what we offer, that is available there in Village Nomad for the volunteers to practice, and then also invite village builders or anyone else who wants to join a virtual village to come in and explore that model with us. So yeah, there's a few places there that you can tap in if you're interested. Next I'll also introduce Loisel, who is the the Toolkit project leader and the Comm Circle leader. So thank you, Loisel.
Thank you, Christine. Hi, everyone. My name is Loisel, and I am the project lead of Village Toolkit, which I'll be talking to you about today. And also Comms Circle leader as of yesterday. So thank you for that. So what is Toolkit? So Toolkit is basically an all-in-one package of everything a village builder would need to start a village, which includes facilitating them in inviting visitors and helping them join as members, helping them take on roles. So since December, our group of volunteers in the communication circle has been busy creating this kit of tools that fall into three categories. So there's organizational tools, marketing, and documentation. And for organizational, we've done some research and created a brand design. So basically anything that really helps new volunteers who come in to kind of consistently carry things on. We have marketing elements, so creating templates to create posts online, creating templates for flyers, just to really help new builders to kind of, they have a foundation to work with. And also documentation elements, so like role guides and information booklets that'll really help our builders along. So as you can see here on the screen, we've developed a really simplified brand. We hit a huge milestone where we established our how we want to visually be represented as Village, and also how to articulate what Village is. Being consistent with our voice and our tone is very important. And I just wanted to read just a bit of what we have in our voice and tone guide. Our communication style is positive, inclusive, and friendly. Our language is warm and inviting, conveying a sense of personal connection within our community. Our tone is affirming, encouraging a sense of shared responsibility and interdependence, and promoting a sense of unity and cooperation. I just wanted to share it because I thought it was really beautiful. And this is something that we want to try and uphold in all our communications and our designs when we want to represent Village. And we also created a brand guide that demonstrated our look and feel to reflect these values. We also have new designs for our email and our website. After having had a better understanding of the feel and experience that we want to express, we went on to update our email and our website. We updated the experience of our communication to reflect what Village represents. And we also simplified and updated our illustrations and made it usable and easier to navigate with the help of our vision and mission circle. We also became more intentional and accurate when we were rewriting our copy and in the emails and the website. This is also really exciting. It's been really exciting to see our work exist physically and being put out into the world to gain Village attention and to help community members gather. Also, we are in the process of designing grouping cards, which will facilitate community connections during in-person gatherings. So now we have Emma coming in from the platform circle, and she'll give you a peek behind the scenes of our platform.
Hi, yeah, thanks, Loisel. I'm Emma. I'm in the DC area. I'm something of an Airtable expert. I also work in project management and workspace design, so I help Village with all of the kind of technical behind the scenes work. Airtable is the application, the software that we use to build our platform, which is what hosts all of our Village centers. All of our villages are kind of centralized in this database, and something that goes into all of that is just like all of the metrics and the kind of events and all the data behind the things that allow villages to function smoothly, and the help with general village administration. So we also have administered the the VillageCo sociocratic dashboard and interface system that allows VillageCo to operate as a nonprofit. One of our big projects right now is supporting the updates of the emails that were designed by the communications circle. So that is an ongoing effort that we'll be rolling out hopefully in the coming weeks. And then we're also just templatizing and making the Village platform system as open source and public as possible. So one of our ultimate goals is to just have this system be available to the public so that anyone can kind of set up their own Village network without needing to use our software or our user licenses to do so. And I think one of the things that we're really excited about is like producing really robust documentation to make this as easy as possible, because we want Village to be shareable and spreadable, and we don't want to have to be the gatekeepers behind that software. So the platform circle is really excited about all of the things that come up out of the other circles and just helping to make them happen behind the scenes. And I'm just going to go ahead and introduce someone who you all probably know, which is Jason, who's our comm circle facilitator, platform circle administrator, finance and fundraising leader, Village Affairs officer, and of course the VillageCo administrative director.
Thank you, Emma. And thank you everyone for being here. So just taking a pause here, take a deep breath in. That was a lot of information we just shared. You can see there's a lot happening, and you can see how excited and how engaged folks are behind this project. So just really appreciating that, really appreciating everyone's here who's here to support us. So we're pivoting the call now. We've been talking about a lot about how we're doing the work and what work we're working on. We're going to go back now to this vision statement that Christine presented at the beginning of the call, a locally connected world. And the big question is, how are we going to accomplish that? So the most important way to answer that question is through a mission statement. So we came up with a mission statement that we feel like represents our intentions at VillageCo for how we're going to create a locally connected world. And that mission statement is to expand our capacity for community with simple tools and practices that deepen connections. And we just love this mission statement. It really is very descriptive, and all the words in here have been thought through quite a bit and represent a lot of our work. And you can imagine expanding capacity as referring to the idea that we all want to be in community, and we all have that ability to be in community. And so we just want to expand that. We want to grow that capacity we all have innately to be connected to each other. And then we refer to simple tools there. So you've seen the last few slides, we've been talking about those tools. The tools are really important. And the second part of that is practices. So it's not easy to be in community. This is a challenge. When we come together, there are challenges that come into that. And so it's a practice for us to be connected to each other. And there's things that we need to work on. But we know that with those tools and with that practice, that we will deepen connections. That's the experience we've been seeing the last 4 years in Village. And so that's how we think we're going to create this more locally connected world, is through these tools and these practices. Okay, so the next big thing we're going to talk about here is something that has been building for years, and I am so excited that it's finally here. This fall, we are launching our Village Builders Cohort. And so the Village Builders is an idea that's been around for a little while, and the question is, like, how do we get these villages going? We can't just walk around and get villages going on our own. We need people in the community to be excited about this. So we're asking people all around the world, who likes this idea? Who likes the idea of starting a village? Who wants to go out and meet their neighbors? And we're finding these people. They're showing up all over the place, and they're coming to us, and we're going to work together as a team in a cohort. And so this is a Village Builders Cohort. We're going to launch in, let's see here. We're launching in September. And then we're going to train in October, and we're going to start a 6-month campaign. Now, it's important to note that VillageCo is a startup. We have not started our programs yet. We are intending to get going with them, but this is our first opportunity to really show, to prove the concept that we've got in our heads here and put it in practice in the world. So the Village Building Cohort is going to be wrapped around a bunch of support. And this goes back to those practices we talked about. So we'll have a coaching team. All the village builders are going to be assigned to a coach, and the coaches will have a pod of village builders that they're going to be helping and engaging with every week. And this is really critical. We have an assessment team. So there's a number of volunteers together on an assessment team that is going to be watching this whole project unfold over the 6 months and learning from that. We know that each of our village builders are going to bring their own styles and their own interests. They're probably going to tweak things and add things and take things out of the model, and that's exciting. And we're really interested to see what works. The assessment team is going to answer that question for us at the end of this project. So cool. So spread the word. We're looking for those village builders. Anybody who is interested in being a village builder, being a part of this project, they can come to this kickoff that we're starting. It's September 23rd, 3 p.m. Pacific. You also are invited. Anyone can come to this kickoff. If you want to come and meet these village builders and hear a little bit about where in the world they're coming from, why they want to bring their communities together and send them off with some energy and some excitement, that's what we're going to be doing on September 23rd. All right. So next up, and we're getting towards the end of our program, and then we're going to do a Q&A. I should have mentioned that at the beginning, but we will be taking questions here in a bit. So next up, I want to introduce Bill, who has been a longtime member of Village Seattle, an investor, a very strong investor of VillageCo, and a member of our fundraising circle to talk about a really cool opportunity.
Hi, everybody. All this extraordinary work and the energy and the hope that have gone into the development of the vision and the mission, they're all beautiful words, but how are we going to accomplish the vision? How are we going to give life to the mission statement? To make it all happen, we need support, we need resources, we need money. So to gather resources, that brings us to the Village Harvest. So what is the Village Harvest? The Village Harvest is our fall fundraiser to support the work of VillageCo. Now, why do we call it a harvest? We reflected on the village metaphor for some inspiration. The Village Harvest is inspired by both the history of the idea of a village, of a gathering of people around, gathering common resources, common experiences, creating common space, and sustaining a common gathering space for an interdependent community. The harvest is going to welcome all villagers and facilitate some interpersonal connection, awareness of our interdependence, and different ways for villagers to continue to sustain the village. Now, it's a harvest, so what are we going to reap? Well, of course, we're going to reap stronger connections, and importantly, we're going to hopefully reap a lot of money to sustain the work of VillageCo. So everybody's invited. Mark your calendars, please. Monday, October 28th, 6 o'clock Pacific time. If you're in the Seattle area, we're going to be gathering and going to be throwing a really wonderful party at Fremont Abbey in the Fremont neighborhood of Seattle. But it's also going to have a virtual component so that wherever you are in the world, you're going to be able to join and participate and connect with other villagers and be able to support the work. So the format of the event is going to be designed to be kind of an elevated gathering experience like we have in the weekly gatherings with the village. We drew on the basic flow of the gatherings and are designing activities that will give everybody a chance to connect and enjoy each other, and also to encourage everybody's generosity. So there's going to be food, there's going to be games, activities, there's going to be a big centerpiece experience, there's going to be time to be mindful and feel connected and reflect on how far the village has come and how far we have to go. How are we going to raise money? You might be asking how you might be able to support the village. We're going to be raising with ticket sales. There's going to be different price points for to make the program accessible. And also there's going to be a 50-50 raffle. You buy a raffle ticket, and if you win, you get half of all the raffle proceedings. To make all of this happen, we need volunteers. So there's a small group of us that has been reflecting and designing this experience, and we are really excited to get more people involved. And so if you are looking to support the event, if you have some gifts to offer, or if you want to learn some new stuff about how to throw an event, how to make really cool food, how to how to raise some money. There's a sign up genius that everybody can sign up, both people who are going to be there in person and people who will be joining virtually. So there's lots of work to be done that can be done anywhere you are in the world. So the sign up genius is going to be made available, and I look forward to everybody hopefully joining the harvest and continuing to connect with each other and having a good time. So I'm going to pass it off to Christine to help wrap things up. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you, Bill. As I reflect on our mission to expand our capacity for community and trying to wrap up that expansion, it feels tricky. I thought about how 4 years ago, Village Seattle came about because people were feeling lonely and disconnected, and it's, there's still that that's going on in our country and our world. And little did we know 4 years later that Seattle would turn into VillageCo and expand into a village itself. We wouldn't have gotten this far with all our volunteers. As you've seen, we shared in this presentation together. There's so many people that are putting their energy and time and hard work and heart and just all the love into this work. So as we just wanted to say, as we're launching VillageCo out into the world, we're also practicing villaging together. And I just so much appreciate working with everybody that you've seen share so far, and a lot more people that are involved. And so we've identified 3 ways that you can help. You can be part of the VillageCo village. And as you've heard throughout the past 30 minutes, you can help with volunteer recruitment. Or if you yourself would like to volunteer, there's many opportunities to lend your skills and talents in VillageCo as part of the circles or part of a project as a contributor or a member. And also you could, if you're interested, you could also join to be a village builder. And that's again launching in the fall. If you're interested in starting a village in your area, be part of it. And on the one hand, also you could also be a village builder coach. So if you have community building experience, you can become a coach and help others who are stepping into more of a community building role. And second, we have the kickoff, as Jason mentioned, on September 23rd. Come to that if you're curious about becoming a builder, or if you want to support all the builders that have expressed interest and are looking to sign up. So that's just something that we want to really put in the forefront and make it a very exciting event, because it is very much just like a launch, like a rocket launch. So it's very a big deal for us to have more people involved in creating potential villages in the next couple months. So come to the 23rd, mark it on your calendar. And finally, as Bill spoke to, we have the Village Harvest on the 28th. So if you're local, or if you're going to be local, or maybe you should come to Seattle, then come to our Village Harvest on the 28th. And there's many opportunities to volunteer with that. So that wraps up this portion. Thank you so much for coming and listening and taking in. And I guess now, Jason, we're going to open up to some Q&A.
Yes, and I wanted to invite everybody, if you're feeling some good vibes right now and you like this idea, you want to see this, give this a shot in the world, I have a question for you. The question is, what is it going to take to make a more locally connected world? What's it going to take to make a more locally connected world? Okay, everyone come off mute. Turn off your mutes. Everyone come off. We're going to say it all at the same time. Ready? What is it going to take to make a more locally connected world? 1, 2, 3. It takes
More smiles.
Village. Awesome. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for coming for the update. It's so good to see everybody here. It fills my heart seeing so many supporters from all over the world, just really following what we're doing. We're going to take questions. One thing came up that I realized we didn't put in the slides, which is important, is that we are going to have a the Village Builders Cohort is going to have a campaign around it. And so we will have a newsletter, and that newsletter will feature stories from our builders as they are going through the 6-month project. So you will be able to sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get regular updates on how that's going over the 6 months. So we'll keep you updated on that. All right. Questions? You can raise your hand. If there's not a clamoring for hands, just come off mute and ask. Have a one in the chat about how many village builders are there. We have about 35 people who have showed interest in being a village builder. I would guess maybe half of them will be ready to sign up. It's hard to tell. We kind of got to wait for the moment to come. So we'll know for sure on September 23rd. But our goal is to have 20 village builders. We want to see 20. Any other questions?
Will we have access to all the resources that you showed us today?
Are you referring to like the toolkit?
Yeah, just before September.
No, it will be released for the very first time, and it won't be until actually October. We're going to have a toolkit unpacking. So we'll have a training moment just for village builders to go through the toolkit for the very first time. And sometime after that, we will make it available online.
Okay, that works. Thank you.
I can tell Michael you're eager. Michael's in New York, one of our potential village builders, and I imagine many others would love to get their hands on some of these things to start getting going. So that's great energy. Love that.
Exactly.
Thanks, Emma. Yes, we will have this. We actually have a volunteer who's going to make an edited version of this whole presentation. You'll see it by email. So it'll be a shortened, kind of abbreviated version for those who were not able to be here. There's a sociocracy question in there, Michael. Do you want to take that?
Yeah, I can take a first pass. So generally, like a sociocratic organization starts with a general circle. So it's kind of like everyone who's involved is in one circle together. And then over time, they might, create new circles to kind of deal with a smaller aspect or domain of the organization. I don't know if I can maybe popcorn it to Emma, since you were kind of here when the different committees or circles previously formed.
Sure, yeah. So the circles that emerged originally have actually kind of morphed into the circles that exist now. So that's kind of natural with sociocracy, but the kind of core circles, the mission, the platform, the communications, and then some of the sub-circles that exist within those all basically emerged as they started as like teams within the general circle or their mother circle or whatever. And so they were just noticing that those groups were meeting and they had a clear direct domain and aim. And so we just formalized them by making them into circles. And when you make something into a circle, you give it very clear intention, you decide who the members are, and then the members then can select their leaders and the team members within them. So they basically, all of the circles emerged as a result of a need in a higher circle, to answer that question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think to respond to like the follow-up question, yeah, so I think that like basically we kind of, are like evolving how we want to approach the village model and how we want to develop it. So, I think for a while we had sort of maybe different beta versions of the toolkit, and we had different people from our team that were helping different villages start. But, over time, I think we realized that we maybe, need like more resources in the toolkit, or more things need to be explained, or they might need to be more polished. And, we want to do a cohort where we can have 20 builders that can go on their own and do things. So I think kind of the way that sociocracy encourages is, just kind of like coming up with an idea, talking as a group about what it should involve, and then coming up with a plan to evaluate that, and then kind of doing that over and over. So I think as time goes on, we identify more of what we need to do to meet our mission, and then we can iterate and we can change our organizational structure if we need to support that.
Awesome. We love talking about sociocracy. We are still learning. It's a practice and we're still learning about it. But I have found it to be amazing. The time is the critical, word with sociocracy. It takes time. it takes time to make decisions together, to get on the same page. It really just takes time, but it's worth it. And the value that we've seen over the last couple of years about taking our time is tremendous. And you've seen it in the presentation today. All this is done with volunteer effort. Volunteers have put together all this on their spare time. And some of our volunteers have kids and have jobs, and they're balancing changes in their jobs. It's a lot happening, and we've kind of balanced that through all of those changes because of our sociocratic structure. Any other questions? Do you want to ask that live, Tim?
My mouse is not participating. Yes, do I want to ask that? Well, okay. I've got a head that's like a box filled with frogs. That's just the way my life is. Okay. And so I'm thinking about this, and Hillary Clinton popularized, even though many of us knew this, and my time in Africa, which I understand others have lived in Africa, about the function of a village and what it could do. And those are things that aren't well known in the US, but in other countries, they definitely, because they depend upon each other. There was a thing in the Washington Post just the other day about the best thing in an emergency, in a catastrophe, is your neighbor. That's who's going to save your butt. So I just was wondering, in the evolution, because I appreciate, very respectful for where you are in your evolutionary path, but whether the dialogue on intergenerational pull, what are the benefits? Boom, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or at least a thought process on that. And I know you have thought about this, so I hesitated to even raise it, but it wasn't raised, and so that's why I threw the question out there. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Tim. Definitely learning about what it means to be a village here in the States and be together, especially intergenerationally. But the age diversity has been cited as one of the most important values of being a part of our village. So a lot of members really appreciate the age diversity among a lot of other things. And so, yeah, it's important. The poll, I think, is an interesting question. Like, village is not necessarily a product or a service. It's not a business. It's not something that can be sold for a profit or is just going to naturally just explode. This is only going to be an effort because we are asking people to do something uncomfortable, which is come together and meet people different than them in their neighborhoods. When we're all dealing with social anxieties and we're not sure, like, if we even want to be out of our house. So it's just going to be a challenge, and we're dedicated to finding all the pathways that make it easy for people to bring them together. But it will be a practice, and we will learn a lot. And the first big learning chunk is this village building cohort that we're about to go through. So we'll see what we learn more through that.
Jason, do you mind describing or just listing like the different circles that exist today?
The circles?
Sorry, villages.
The villages. So we have Village Boise and Village Seattle. And Village Seattle meets monthly in person and weekly virtually and has been doing that for 4 years. Village Boise meets monthly in person and has been doing that for about 1.5 years. We have a Whitewater Park Village here in Boise, which is a small micro community in a neighborhood. And then we have Village DTN, and there's a few Village DTN members here. The Deep Transformation Network, Isagard and Taya. Deep Transformation Network, if you're interested in growth and thinking about kind of the collective changes that are happening in the world and how we're showing up and responding to that, check out Deep Transformation Network. We have a village running within that community to build connections within that community. And we have Village SVP, Social Venture Partners, which is a foundation in the Seattle area where we are bringing organizations that are receiving funds from the foundation, as well as funders who are helping support that organization. We're bringing all of them together in a community so they can build connections with each other. So we have a number of experiments that have been running. There's been about 15 villages started, and most of them are now closed. And so we have learned a lot. We've learned a lot of what doesn't work, and we're bringing all those learnings we're baking them into our first version of this model that we're going to put out there with the village building cohort.
I have a question. Like Jason or Christine, Callo, what are some of the benefits you've seen being in Village, and like how has it shifted their communities?
That's a big question. Of well, for yeah, having been in Village Seattle and being the Village Seattle administrator, I've noticed that you know, people are just showing up and learning to engage. For me, I speak personally. I've never thought of myself as a community builder. I'm an introvert. I keep to myself. I'm comfortable with that. Yeah, the more I participate and the more I engage, my own capacity expands, and I've learned you know, different skill sets and perhaps abilities that I had that I didn't know I had. So I think it really depends on each person, you know, coming in and being open to you know, just trying out you know, parts of themselves or expressing things within themselves that they don't otherwise get a chance to practice in other locations. And so I've seen that, and you know, there's been multiple stories around from Village Seattle members that have you know, just in talking with someone one-on-one in one of the gatherings, it helped them make decisions or pursue you know, pathways that they were thinking about, and connecting with one other person that has gone through that. You know, they've tried it out themselves. So you never know, even one simple connection with one person could really you know, change someone's path. So it's yeah, it's been a good experience for me, and as well as others. So I don't know if Jason wants to add to that.
Yeah, I agree. It's tempting to try and talk about the impact that community organizing will have in our communities and in society as a whole, but we just don't know. And we won't know until we do things like this village building cohort. But one thing I would add is that it's not all good. When we come together in community, you know, messy stuff happens, and you know, people have conflicts. We do our best to manage some of that stuff, but some people don't have a good experience, you know, coming together, and that happens too. So that's a part of what we're about. Again, this is not products, it's not a service. We're just trying to work with the idea that we ought to be together. We ought to be going through things together. And so sometimes those bumps are learning opportunities collectively and individually. So sometimes it hurts to be in a village. But hopefully with the right kind of core support in a village, we can find, you know, connect with those people, and that can be a good experience overall. And then just responding to, I see you, Stephen, just responding to Jennifer's question in the chat. There was a village, there were a couple of villages that closed down. One was in Michigan and one was in Utah. And they were largely because of, I think, the number one challenge we face in doing community work is that it's usually one person that gets it going, right? I mean, there's like one person who's like bringing people together for the potluck, one person that's like, let's do a block party, you know, one person that's kind of running around saying, let's come together. And so when that person gets tired and when that person's ready to take a step back, if no one is surrounding them and supporting them, it stops. So this is just a pattern that we see over and over and over again. So we are going into this project aware of this challenge, and we're trying to start these villages with an idea of collective support. So kind of what we learned through sociocracy, we're applying in Village. So that's another experience that we have, is that it's tough to make it sustainable, and it really requires people to lean in and see this as their village that they're also contributing to and leading. All right, Stephen.
Yeah, I just wanted to say in response to Christine's question, I've been involved with Seattle Village since fall of 2020, and I've met some of the most interesting people who I never would have met otherwise. We've also done some service projects around COVID. We honored the nurses in Seattle who were doing so much work and not being appreciated. We brought them all kinds of gifts and stuff. And for example, at last night's Seattle Village, one of the members is looking for a place to live. And it wouldn't surprise me if through the Village network, she finds that.
Yeah, in fact, that happened in Village Boise. Someone was looking for a place to live, and through their connections with Village, she found one. So I'm hoping that that same energy happens in Seattle. We're coming up to the end of the hour. We might have time for one more question. Is there another question burning out there? Okay. All right, Taya brings up a really important question, which is kind of like, how do I find a village? How do I know if there's a village in my area? How are we going to get connected? And the answer is, I don't know. We don't know. We really don't know how we're going to do this. We know that we're going to start some villages in this village building cohort. We're going to tell those stories. We really work through relationships. We work by working in local communities. We don't see marketing being a really important part of what we're doing, other than to send the message that community is important and that let's all look for opportunities. I think that might be probably the most important message that I think we want to get out there, is that it's a time of coming together. Like, the idea of a locally connected world is not our vision. It's all of our vision. It's something that's out there. And there's a lot of people come up with all different ways that it can happen. So we're just one of many experiments going on. So if anything, we need to get that idea out there, that let's look for those things that are happening locally and invest in them. And Village will be one of them.
I have a question.
So yes, Serena.
Is it possible to build a village in our own communities? Because like I live in Los Angeles and I know that there's various villages across the nation. So I was just wondering, because maybe I could initiate one. Oh, I'm new to this whole thing, you know, but I tend to create stuff like right now I run a club at the college that I go to. Nobody has created a swim club. So I was like, why not me? And now we've become a pretty strong powerhouse as a club. Like, people get to know us and we're trying to grow, which is why I was wondering, okay, VillageCo, you guys are trying to create villages in different places. So I was just wondering, oh, is there one in LA? And if not, maybe we can create one.
Absolutely. And thanks so much, Serena, for putting effort into bringing people together and creating something in your community that's beautiful. You are a village builder already. And if you would like to be a part of our village building cohort to get something happening in LA, join us on September 23rd. Love to have you there.
Absolutely. Anything to volunteer or help out.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, so, and yes, Stephen mentioned a family village. Ooh, the idea of a family village is beautiful. We've had some beautiful gatherings. Stephen has brought his whole family together who are spread out all over the world and had very meaningful connections. I see a huge opportunity with thinking about using our village model within families so that we have meaningful conversations. All right, we could go on and on and on. We love talking about Village. We're always going to be here for you. You can go to our website and fill out the form if you would like to chat with somebody. But we're going to come to the end of our time together. So we're going to do in true Village form a group photo. So if you would like to be part of the group photo, turn on your camera. And just going to commemorate this moment, our first supporter update call. We'll be doing more of these down the road. We love to see you here. And so our next supporter update call, if you see that email come through, definitely hop on there. Your energy here is really important for us all. So for our group photo, it's going to be really simple. We've got the Village V. This is the peace sign, which we are co-opting to also mean village. And then maybe we can do a little wave. This is going to be a video group photo. So let me see your Village Vs. Get your Vs up there. Okay, here we go. And waving. Yes, all right. This is our group photo. Nice big smiles. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming out. Really appreciate your support. If you're not, you should be on our newsletter. But if you're not, go to villageco.org. Make sure you're on our newsletter. And we will be following up with lots of cool, exciting updates. All right, thanks for the time together. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you.
All right. Wow, everyone jumped off so quick. Let me stop this.